Hello YouTubers and Doctor Who fans, and welcome to another CD review. That's right, I'm going to be delving right back into the worlds of Big Finish, and today I thought I'd go and take a look at the first release of the Fourth Doctor Adventures, which started back in 2012, around the time of when this channel was born. And that is Destination Nerva. Now, as always, what I'm going to do in this review, I'm going to take a look at the presentation of the CD, and then afterwards I'm going to give my thoughts on what I think of this story. So first off, we're going to take a look at this cover, and we have the Fourth Doctor and Leela in their Victorian clothing, as this particular story takes place immediately after the Talons of Weng-Chiang, which is definitely a story I recommend. It is an absolutely amazing story. I highly recommend that you pick it up as part of the Revisitations 1 box set. If you want more details on that, then check out my review of the Revisitations 1 box set, which I did a few years back. So yes, Fourth Doctor and Leela, Victorian outfits, straight after the end of Talons of Weng-Chiang. Great way to start this series of audios, in my opinion. Then we have this other character to the left of the main characters, known as Dr. Alison Foster. She's one of the characters that features in the story. The actual background of this cover looks like it's in space somewhere, and you've got looks like some sort of nebula in the background, which is kind of cool. You've also got what seems to be part of the Fourth Doctor's title sequence, which is always a great thing. And you've got all these hexagons and all these patterns everywhere, which is a really nice thing. I know it's a small detail and you're probably thinking just get on with it, but I quite like it. On the side here, of course, blue logo. This was before the 50th anniversary, so we still had the blue logo. Nowadays, it's more of a silver colour. And at the bottom here, it just says featuring Raquel Cassidy and Tim Bentwick. Bentink. I always have trouble pronouncing that name. And at the top and bottom, it just says Classic Doctors, Brand New Avengers, Full Cast, Audio Drama. We have a planet here, which I believe is Earth, and we have Nerva, which makes a return in this story. And Audio Adventures of Doctor Who as well, forgot to mention that. Sleeve is black. Now, from Series 2 onwards, it was white. But for the first series, they went with black. So you have Tom Baker's face, Doctor Who, Destination Nerva, 1.1, first released in the first series of Fourth Doctor Adventures. And there at the back, you have the plot for this story. And in the background, you have the TARDIS. There is your full cast. The runtime for this is 60 minutes approx. Now, as this is a release from 2012, back then the booklets were bigger than the booklets that we are getting at this moment. So we have these writer's notes, director's notes, which are both the same person, Nicholas Briggs. Behind the scenes pictures of Tom Baker and Louise, Jameson. Must have been really big back when this came out. We have a little model of Nerva Beacon there, I've just noticed. We have a nice image of the Fourth Doctor there, because the whole tagline of this was "You're back in 1977." It just gives you a rundown of what's coming soon. So next episode, Renaissance Man. We have all these credits here for behind the scenes, and we have an ad for Doctor Who magazine. Unfortunately, this came out around the time of Elizabeth Sladen's death, which was a real tragedy, still felt by many Doctor Who fans to this day. And on the other side of the casing inside, we have the disc for Destination Nerva, and it just has part of the Third Doctor's title sequence, which is quite interesting, seeing as this is a Fourth Doctor story, so you would have thought that it would have featured the Fourth Doctor's time vortex, but I'm not really complaining that much, because some of the EDAs also had that. It's Saturday Tea Time in 1977, all over again. Here are a few other releases that were released around this time for the first series of Fourth Doctor Adventures. We have The Renaissance Man, The Wrath of the Iceni, Energy of the Daleks, Trial of the White Worm, The Sidon Adventure, and The Lost Stories Fourth Doctor box set. Now on to my opinions on Destination Nerva. And to be honest, for Big Finish's first attempt of the Fourth Doctor on audio, it's not bad, but not perfect. I think the idea of having this story take place right after the Doctor and Leela leaving Jago and Litefoot at the end of the Talons of Weng-Chiang was a smart move, because it gives fans something familiar to start off with. The inclusion of Nerva, which played a big part in the arc in space, along with Revenge of the Cybermen, was also a very welcome one. This was the first time in almost 30 years that Tom Baker played the role of the Fourth Doctor, and, in all honesty, it felt like he was never away. One thing I really loved about this audio was the chemistry between Tom Baker and Louise Jameson, who reprises her role as Leela, who actually is one of my personal favourite companions from the show. The plot of this story is a decent one. Aliens arrive in Victorian England. A virus starts to spread. It infects members of the British Empire, because this was set in the Victorian era, hence why they're still wearing the clothing for part of the story. In essence, the British soldiers who have become infected are the enemies of this story, and the aliens, known as the Drellans, may actually be the good guys, even though when you hear them they sound sinister. That's one of the good things about this audio. You have the aliens who are nowhere to be seen on this front cover, and you can only hear them and visualise in your head what they look like. And in this particular instance, that is why this probably works better as an audio story rather than something which you would see on the television. Raquel Cassidy plays the supporting role of Dr. Alliston Foster, and she's alright. Cassidy also played a role in the god-awful two-parter from Series 6 of New Who, The Rebel Flesh and the Almost People, and I don't know what it was. I don't think it's a fault of the actress, but her character just sounded like she was too much of a modern Doctor Who character. And it took me out of the story briefly, because for the most part, one thing Briggs and the production team do so well with this story is recapturing the atmosphere of the stories from what we've seen in the late 1970s. But I just feel like the character of Dr. Alison Foster, she doesn't belong here. She belongs in a new Doctor Who story, a modern Doctor Who story. I think as a whole, the supporting characters are just okay. There's no one who really stood out to me, in all honesty. The best things about this audio are the Fourth Doctor and Leela by a country mile. Like I said earlier, it's like they both never left. The writing itself is pretty decent. There's nothing really cliche going on. Leela doesn't get captured or anything like that. Leela's a really strong character in this. I really like the twist at the end. Even for 60-minute runtime, which was a bit sceptical about at first, I think it works very well for this story. It runs for 2 half-hour episodes, so you have one cliffhanger in the middle, and I think it works. Overall, this was a good solid start for the Fourth Doctor and audio. Not a masterpiece by any means, but good enough to get me invested in collecting more Fourth Doctor Big Finish stories.